Hello, class, and welcome to today's lecture on texting etiquette as a professional. Now, in today's digital age, texting has become a popular mode of communication in both personal and professional settings. However, it is important to remember that texting in a professional context requires a certain level of etiquette and professionalism. In this lecture, we will explore three key themes that comprise texting etiquette as a professional. First, we will discuss the importance of maintaining professionalism in all text messages sent in a professional setting. Second, we will examine the role of tone and language in text messages, as well as common abbreviations and emoticons that should be avoided. And finally, we will delve into the importance of timeliness and clarity in text message communication. And by the end of this lecture, you will have a better understanding of the proper etiquette that should be used when texting as a professional, and how to effectively communicate via text in a professional setting. Now, let's just define texting etiquette, because this really refers to the set of rules and guidelines that dictate how to communicate effectively and professionally through text messages. And so this includes principles such as being clear and concise, using proper grammar and spelling, and avoiding abbreviations and emojis that may be misinterpreted. Texting etiquette is particularly important in professional settings where maintaining a professional image is critical. Now, let's look at what we'll be doing today through this lecture. We're going to start off, as always, with a story, and then we'll explore how to maintain professionalism in texting, how to set the proper tone, and the timeliness and clarity within texting. Now, to start off with, I want to just tell you a story of a famous example. And this isn't unique. There are dozens of famous examples, but this one really stands out. One example of a texting blunder that made the headlines was the case of Anthony Weiner, a former U.S. representative from New York. Now, back in 2011, Weiner accidentally tweeted a sexually explicit photo of himself to his public Twitter account. At first, his claim was that he claimed that his account had been hacked, but he eventually admitted that he had posted the photo himself by mistake. Over the next few weeks, several more women came forward with stories of sexually explicit online exchanges with Weiner. The scandal eventually led to Weiner resigning from Congress and tarnished his political career pretty much permanently. In 2013, Weiner ran for mayor of New York, but during the campaign, it was revealed that he had continued to engage in online sexual conversations, and this time using the pseudonym of Carlos Danger. Despite initially resisting calls to drop out of the race, Weiner eventually ended his campaign after his poll numbers plummeted. The incident became known as Weinergate, scandals, and really kind of serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of maintaining professionalism and discretion when using technology in communication. Some other examples: for example, in 2013, a public relations executive for AIC Interactive Corporation was fired after posting a tweet before boarding a flight to South Africa. Her tweet caused a major backlash and negative publicity for the company. In 2016, a California lawyer was sanctioned by the state bar for sending a series of aggressive and threatening text messages to opposing counsel. The texts were seen as unprofessional and violated ethical rules for lawyers. In 2018, a Texas real estate agent received national attention after sending some inappropriate and racist texts to prospective clients who happened to be of a minority background. The messages quickly went viral, and the agent faced severe consequences for her actions. These examples demonstrate how easily text messages can become public and how important it is to maintain a professional and respectful tone in all communication, even in private messages. So in today's world, texting has become an essential tool for communication in both personal and professional settings. However, maintaining professionalism in text communication is critical to avoid any understandings or misinterpretations. And so what I want to focus on here is exploring how to maintain professionalism in text message communication and what the research literature actually says about maintaining your professionalism. And so there are three themes that we're going to cover in this part. The first part is the importance of grammar and spelling in text communications, and then the use of appropriate language and tone, and finally the proper use of emojis and other text-based expressions. So let's start with the first theme, the importance of grammar. It's essential to remember that text communication, especially in a professional setting, should be clear and concise. The use of proper grammar and spelling is crucial to ensure that the message is correctly conveyed without any confusion. Now, I realize that sometimes we get in the habit of being very informal in texting, but when texting in a professional setting, you should always err on the side of being too formal rather than less formal. And the research literature suggests that the use of poor grammar and spelling can be perceived as unprofessional and careless, potentially affecting one's credibility. Next, you need to be mindful about the use of appropriate language and tone. The language and tone used in text communications should be appropriate for the professional setting. Avoid using slang or informal language that may be perceived as unprofessional. Furthermore, tone can be challenging to interpret through text messages, so it is crucial to ensure that the tone is clear and concise. And the research literature suggests that the use of an inappropriate tone can lead to misunderstandings or even conflict. And finally, the proper use of emojis and other text-based expressions need to be considered. Emojis and other text-based expressions can be a great way to add emotion or clarity to a message, but is best left in the personal side of things. It's important, if you do use them in a professional setting, to use them appropriately and in extreme moderation. The less, the better, more likely. The research literature suggests that the overuse of emojis or the use of inappropriate ones can be perceived as unprofessional and may lead to misunderstandings or even offense. In essence, maintaining professionalism in text communications is crucial in the professional setting. Proper grammar and spelling, appropriate language and tone, and the proper use of emojis and other text-based expressions are essential to ensure clear and concise communication. The research literature does suggest that the use of unprofessional language or tone or improper use of emojis can lead to huge misunderstandings and even conflict within the professional setting. So let's start by looking at what research says about maintaining professionalism in text messages. First, it's important to use proper grammar and spelling. Texting may be informal, but it's still a professional form of communication, and using incorrect grammar and spelling can come across as simply being unprofessional and sloppy. One study done by Kibb in 2016 found that using proper grammar and spelling in text messages was seen as more professional and more competent, and so it creates a atmosphere of professionalism to use proper grammar. Secondly, it's important to use appropriate language and tone. Text messages can easily be misinterpreted, so it's important to be clear and concise in your messaging. Avoid using slang or overly informal language, and be mindful of your tone. One study by Huang and Davison in 2018 found that using a more formal tone in text messages was seen as more professional. And thirdly, it's important to be timely in your responses. Text messages are often used for quick communication, and delayed responses can come across as unprofessional and uncaring. One study of Spitzberg and Hubler in 2018 found that timely responses were seen as a sign of respect and professionalism in text messaging. And finally, it's important to remember that text messages are not a substitute for face-to-face communication. While texting can be a useful tool for quick communication, it's important to use it appropriately and not rely on it exclusively for important discussions. And one study by Zeidner and Wolf in 2018 found that using text messages in conjunction with face-to-face communication was seen as being more professional than simply relying solely on texting. Then, of course, there are some emojis that you should always avoid. First off, the poop emoji. Avoid it. Eggplant emoji. Avoid it. Peach emoji, often used suggestively. Avoid it. Beer mug emoji can suggest unprofessional behavior. Avoid it. The leaf emoji can be associated with drug use. Avoid it. The crazy emoji face is simply seen as immature. Avoid it. The zipper mouth face emoji can suggest secrecy or unprofessional behavior. Avoid that. The money mouth emoji can suggest greed or unprofessional behavior. Avoid that. The woozy face emoji can suggest drunkenness or unprofessional behavior. Avoid that. And face with steam from the nose emoji can suggest anger or unprofessional behavior. So avoid that. In fact, my suggestion is avoid the emojis unless it's a simple smile, and only use that in a case where you have clearly expressed that tone of kindness and gratitude and happiness in your actual text as well. So we're going to pause there and take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we will continue on exploring texting etiquette in the professional setting. Hope you'd enjoyed the lecture thus far, and I'll see you in a little while. You take care. Goodbye.